It's a lot better.
Ready?
Yes.
We live.
All right, here we go. Chopping it up with Cador. I'm Perry White. He's Reggie Flood. Excuse me. He's Rodger Cador. See, he put it on my mind because we were just talking about my man Flood. But man, another episode, Coach. We back. This is the second one. We get an opportunity to be able to talk about a little bit different things this week. Last week we talked about, basically giving an introduction to who you were, giving people an understanding of what life was like for Coach Cador as you became the legendary coach of who you are and the great man that you had become and the legend. And now we get to talk about all the fun stuff, Coach. Where you want to go with it. Did you watch some games Saturday?
I did. I had a light Saturday, and I did watch some college game, and not in its entirety, but different. And because I was watching college football along with MLB baseball, so just switching up and back and forth.
And they kept switching some of the games to go to some of the MLB games, trying to go back and forth. I was one of those ones. I wasn't too much a fan of that, man. I want my college football on my Saturdays, but I know you're a man that love both. But who do you like right now on the college football side? If you talk about the big schools, Power 5 schools, anybody catching your eye in terms of some good football right now?
Well, I think the transfer portal has changed the landscape of college football. You would think Georgia looked really dominant, and they showed they have some hold because Missouri had a chance to beat them this past weekend. And then Alabama, who I think is the best college football team, have shown some vulnerability on the defensive side of the ball. Now, with that quarterback hurt, I don't know what they'll do to him. The kid they brought in looked just as good, but maybe not the passer.
Yeah.
The number one quarterback is, but he certainly can run the ball very well. And so I looked at that, and the one I thought was a game that really surprised a lot of people was how TCU destroyed Oklahoma.
Oh man!
I know some people, Bud Wilkinson and some of the people have to be turning in their grave because that's not what Oklahoma is used to.
It's not, and I like to bet. So of course in Louisiana it's legal to do online gambling. So I do a lot of sports betting with my parlays, and I'm going through looking at my parlays, man, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm rolling this morning, and then I look up, it's 35-14 going into halftime, TCU up. And I'm like, man, this is not the Oklahoma team I can remember being dominant, but they completely allowed TCU to run all over them. I think a lot of people, even when you talked about that Georgia-Missouri game, when you look at the spread, I think Georgia was a 24-point, had 24 points in the spread, and Missouri closed that gap up a lot. And then to see Alabama, I'm an Arkansas guy, so I thought the Razorbacks and Sam Pittman probably had a little mustard in the refrigerator to pull out and get it done. But man, Alabama and Nick Saban. Nick Saban is now 16-0 against Arkansas. Having that much dominance over one team has to be demoralizing.
Well, he's got them over all of them. It's not just one team. This just happened that you got the record against Arkansas.
Not too much, Coach. Not too much.
But if you look across the SEC, there haven't been many teams that beat Nick Saban.
No.
So, we're talking about that Alabama, since he's been the coach at Alabama. So, it is what it is. I was thinking Michigan probably going to run into a really difficult time this weekend because they'll play Indiana. I think Indiana is going to give them all they could handle. I think that's an interesting conference over there. The fact that you got Minnesota looks like a team that could be difficult.
Yeah.
Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State. And watch Indiana. I keep saying that. And Purdue is going to probably do some damage. The landscape is different because of the transfer portal. A lot of people lost players that wish they could have kept. And the fact that good teams don't have those quality backup anymore. Those kids left to go where they could play rather than be a backup. So you don't have the depth. that they usually have.
And let's talk about the transfer portal because that's interesting. You being a former head coach yourself and being able to see the landscape. At one time, if you wanted to transfer, you had to sit out. You was not immediately eligible. And a lot of times you had so many things that were in place that kept a lot of kids from being able to transfer. And you kind of had to sit it out. Do you think now with the transfer portal, it kind of shies young people away from competition? You go somewhere, you battle for a spot. Of course, everybody wants to be a starter. But then you get into a situation where you may not become the starter, and now you want to go somewhere else where you feel that opportunity instead of grinding it out to possibly fight each and every week to be that starter. What's your thoughts on that transfer portal, and is it hurting or is it helping when you look at the landscape of college sports?
We don't want to say it's hurting because it's providing opportunities for people. I'm not going to say it's hurting because anytime you can go and get an opportunity to play, I think it's good. I think what it does though, it feeds or fuel the thing that happened in young people today, that you don't have to have a commitment. You don't have to live with a commitment. We have a problem with that. Nobody want to be committed to dealing with adversity, fighting for something. Everything is, I want it, and I want it at the least amount of effort.
Instant gratification almost.
And that's the problem I see with it, is that it doesn't help our young people. It really hurts them in many cases, because once they leave college athletics, life become real then. You have a family. You have to go and work through difficulty. Do you quit that job and go look for another one?
Mm-mm.
See, you can't do that. That's where I think staying in a situation and fighting through it helps build you for the next phase of your life. Mm-hmm. But if you never understand what fighting through difficulty is, how are you going to fight through it when you have a family?
And let me ask you this. From the player perspective, but now for the coach's perspective, how do you feel it changes now from coaches and how they able to handle? Because, even disciplinary things, student athletes may feel like, hey, I didn't like that, I'll go somewhere else. Does it make the coaching perspective that much harder as well?
Well, in some cases it does. I mean, if you're going to discipline kid, the kid say, yeah, you're disciplined, I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. Well, it throws away the ability to discipline, because you can't afford to lose players because you can't go get them in the middle of the season. This is not professional. Everything is about, you have to stay with it and find a way to find a happy medium, coaches and the players. And Perry, this is where you would hope that you have a leader on your team, a player that's a leader. He may be able to do as much as a coach can, because he's going to get him at night probably when they're at their best relaxed, and maybe talk some sense into him.
And let's talk about, even with the transfer portal, now you add in the NIL, name, image, and likeness. Young people, these student athletes are now able to profit, and which I've always been for that, finding a way, because a lot of people have become rich off the backs of young people in which they walk away. And pro sports isn't for everybody, right? Exactly. But there's a lot of money that's to be made when you look at the amateur level that we like to call the college side. And no matter if it's NAIA, Division III, Division II, Division I, and you have these different levels, but you look at now the NIL and the opportunities for student athletes to make money off their name, image, and likeness, signing autographs, signing jerseys, taking pictures, appearances, being able to be sponsored by businesses. Does that make it hard? Because when you talk about the transfer portal, there were reports coming into this season that certain schools were offering players from other teams that were star players, giving them opportunities to say, hey, if you leave there and come here, we'll have more to offer you than what they're giving you there. What's the difficulty on that perspective, too, when you factor in NIL along with the transfer portal, and then you culminate that all together and call it college sports?
Well, we always going to have that kind of stuff. It happens, because school A has more to offer than school B and C. And if the coach wants a player, that he feels can make his team better, he certainly is going to take it and run with it because they'll make the offer. Remember, everything is about win. Coaches got to win to keep their job, make more money. So they'll do a lot of stuff that's probably not called professional.
Is there an honor when you talk about coaches?
The honor thing is out the window now.
Okay.
Because the win at all costs.
Yeah.
No, people, they fire people. They've already fired 3 or 4 coaches already.
They have. You look at Scott Frost at Nebraska when you talk about football,
Yeah.
and you talk about losing games just right there on the cusp and just couldn't find a way. 4 quarters of football, but just you look all the way around, and I often think about that when what you just said. You were around coaching for over 30 years. I look at other legends like a Eddie Robertson, 30, almost 40 years of coaching, and then understanding year 1, year 2, but look down the line, year 6, year 7, there could be prosperity. But in today's world, nobody wants to look down the line and say year 6, year 7 is what have you done for me lately? Even Auburn with Gene Chizik, he won a national championship, and in 2 years they had already fired him. So, back at one time you win a national championship or anything to that nature, you probably could sit around for a while at a job and be okay. But now it's what have you done for me lately? And that has to make it hard when you look at the landscape of winning consistently. And is that a realistic expectation?
Well, in some cases it is, but you're not going to win it all the time. It's just like what Nick Saban has done at Alabama is not real for 99% of the other coaches. It's not going to happen.
It's not.
They just can't do it. He's done something that is unusual. That's why he is who he is. Mm-hmm. So, and he's got something there that he's the last of the coaches who can discipline kids and they'll stay. Because the parents have bought into it also. If you could get the parents and the kids to buy into something, you got a chance. But if you got one that's not into it, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. So there it is.
And he comes in when he's a guy that can tell you, look at the players that I've been able to put in pro sports, look at the players that I've been able to graduate, and as well as look at the success that we've had on and off the field here at this program. But he came out just a few months ago as the season was going to get started and basically talked to his boosters and said, today that's not even enough no more for me to show up to a home and say, I can prepare your child, your son, first turn him into a man, and then possibly get him an opportunity to change the perspective of your family, the trajectory, to send him to the league, to be able to make money, to get a degree. Now he's having to go into families' homes and say what I can offer monetary and not necessarily in the classroom and on the field. And he's saying, hey, it's making the landscape hard, especially even for a coach with as much success. Students don't seem to be the student athletes. It ain't so much about the championship now. It's so much about what can you put in my pocket now.
Nick Saban was the first coach. What he did, he understood the majority of his players were African American. And let's face it, if they had to go to the community, most of them are in areas, like for instance, go get their haircut. You're going to a black barbershop to get your haircut. Mm-hmm. Well, where is it located? Normally, it's going to be in an area that people wouldn't consider safe.
Yeah.
Nick Saban, if they wanted to go deal with, and most of them kids came out of those neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So where are they going to go back? That's where their family and friends are. They go back home. Mm-hmm. So Nick Saban came up with an idea. He said, I'm going to fix it where my players don't have to leave campus for nothing. He went into the black neighborhood and bought the black barbers, built them a building, and have them in there where now the kids can get their haircut right there. He went in and got all of the games the kids like to play. He brought them, built them, brought them there. Now kids don't have to leave campus.
No, you don't.
For entertainment or things like that. And that they love certain kind of food, he brought those kind of cooks into the place so the kids can eat the kind of food they enjoy eating. That's brilliant thinking.
Yeah.
That is thinking about saving lives, making things easy for kids. Now kids don't have to go anywhere. They can stay right there and enjoy all the things that they used to. But I thought it was brilliant that he did it. And I think Coach Prime at Jackson State is going to try and do some of the same things. I think he's already brought the barbershop on campus. So those kind of things you got to make work. And once we get that done, we'll be down the road.
He's Rodger Cador. I'm Perry White. It's Chopping It Up with Cador. Let's get ready to take a break, pay some bills. We'll come back and finish this conversation, all right?
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Rodger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Take your fun full throttle with a single touch. There are places to fly high, swing low, or make the old bell ring. Your targets are in sight. Better your game by playing ball of almost every variety. Need to catch your breath? There's a place for that too. Countless ways to play beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground. Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hey, Coach Rodger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
All right, chopping it up with Cador. I'm Perry White. He's Rodger Cador. We're back. And, Coach, we had a good conversation talking about the NIL, the transfer portal, and it's good to get a perspective from someone like you who has went through many decades and generations of the changing landscape of college athletics. But let's kind of pivot a little bit. Let's go to baseball, something I know you love near and dear to your heart. It's that time of year. It's October, and we all know what October means. We're talking about the playoffs. The memorable, the playoffs. But for you, this time of year, I know you get excited. Do you have a favorite baseball team, MLB team?
Not really. I just like to see good baseball. I'm pulling for Houston this year simply because my dear friend Dusty Baker is the manager there, and so I would like to see him win his first championship, World Series. He's taken 5 different teams to the playoff. You know how tough that is?
Gotta be
That's
tough.
very difficult. So he's done that. So we're hoping this is the team that could win it all for him. This is a little different this year. Remember, because of the strike early, the negotiation, it pushed the season a little further into October. And the other thing about it is that they added another 2 more teams to the playoff. But what they did was give the 2 teams with the best record in each league bye, which sort of rewarded the people for having good records. So I think it's going to be interesting from that standpoint. The other thing we've got going on is Aaron Judge. We're trying to see whether or not he's going to hit 62 home runs. I'm pulling for him because I like to see the record fall. The thing that I recognize is that I've never seen so many coward pitchers. They refuse to pitch to him, and he's doing a really good job in walking, but they refuse to pitch to him. That's why when I tell people about Barry Lamar Bond, they say, use steroid. Listen, steroid didn't help Barry Bonds' eyes and hand. Okay?
That coordination.
Yeah. He never missed because they were walking him 200 times. But whenever they threw a strike, he never missed it. And to me, it tells me he was a unique player. He was a unique player in our generation that they only come around very seldom. Those kind of players don't come around. I mean, so they didn't pitch to him either. But when they threw a strike,
hey, he knocked that thing into the bay, didn't he?
Yeah. John Miller called when he went to Yankee Stadium. And first time playing in Yankee Stadium with the Giants. And he hit one. And John Miller called and said, he hit it to New Jersey. And the fans in New York loved it. I only wish he could have played in a city like New York. He would have been loved. He was a player coming in, and he hit it, and the fans loved him. That's really baseball fans. Those are the kind of fans you like to see who just admire baseball for what it is.
You talk about Houston Astros right now with 104 victories on the season. They're at the top of the West over in the American League. You look at the Yankees, they're at the top of the Eastern American League. Cleveland in the top of the Central. Then you look at the National League with the Atlanta Braves. Now, that was a team I grew up liking, the Atlanta Braves. They had Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Brian Jordan, Andres Galarragas, Greg Maddux, Javi Lopez.
John Smoke.
I mean, that was a team that when I grew up, as I was growing up through the 90s and I played baseball, that's who I watched. And plus, it was easy to watch because you either watched them or the Cubs because you had the Cubs on WGN and then you had the Atlanta Braves on TBS back during that time. And so those were 2 teams that you always had an opportunity to watch. And I had a chance to see the Cubs the year that they won the World Series. I flew to Milwaukee and they took on the Brewers. And so I still have the program. I said, man, at least I got a chance to see it because I thought I'd never see it in my lifetime of the Cubs being the team to win the World Series. But you look now at the landscape of MLB and you see these teams. Any team stand out to you right now outside of the ones that I have named that's at the top that you think can make a late push in this playoffs and probably be a dark horse?
Back in the 90s, they would call those a station TBS and whatever, WGN Superstation they were called. And I played for the Braves, so I know what you're talking about. But when you look at what Cleveland is doing, I'm very impressed. Tito Francona is doing a really good job of managing that team. A lot of young guys. And he's helping find a way to win games, and whoever that pitching coach is with Cleveland, or the pitcher in the minor league coordinator, he keep developing really good arms in that organization. So I'm really impressed with Cleveland, and I think they can make some noise. But you know who I really think they need to watch out for if they're healthy? Seattle.
Oh, the Mariners. Yeah.
Yes.
Making it to the playoffs, first of all.
I think they'll get in. But they need the center fielder healthy, and another guy is out. If they can get them healthy, I really think that with the arms they have, they could be destructive in the playoff. Remember, everything is short series now. Mm-hmm. And, so I think there, and in the National League, obviously the Dodgers have done a fantastic job.
110 victories so far this season. They are rolling.
Yeah.
And they're a team. You got to bring it when you play the Dodgers.
You got to bring it. And, but the one hiccup the Dodgers got is the bullpen. So much is predicated in short series on the bullpen. Closers role. Their closer has been so-so. Kimbrel has not done the job for the Dodgers. So we'll have to see how that works out.
You look at this right now. You ever been a fan of the Yankees? Were you at any point a fan of the Yankees?
I never did hate the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a hater of baseball. I love baseball. If the Yankees, when Torre was managing them and they had the great run, they had some really good players.
Yeah.
And they were good people. They were not arrogant. They were really good players for the fan base. And in particular, young kids. You got me? So, no, that was some really good games. I got to go and see the 96 playoff, the World Series between the Yankees and the Braves.
Man, and that's one of the reasons why I guess I'll be the hater. If you don't want to be the hater, I'm a Yankees hater, all right? And I know that's such a harsh word, but that's because the Yankees stopped the Braves from the Braves were good, but it was just like they could not get past the Yankees during those days.
I had seats right behind home plate. Really good seats. And I remember when Torrey went to get Combs. Went to take him out, and Combs wouldn't let him take him out. Had the bases loaded. And he refused to let Joe Torre take him out. And he got out of that inning without giving up a run. That broke the Braves back, in my opinion. But Mark Woolard had the guy hit the home run. Oh my goodness, I shouldn't have. He was a catcher, backup catcher, and he couldn't catch up with Woolard 99 miles per hour fastball. Couldn't catch up with him. And he kept throwing, and they kept fouling it off. And I guess Woolard, said, I'm going to try to trick him, and threw a slider, and he hits the ball out the park. That was the backbreaker. I mean, that was devastating for the Braves, So those are the things I remember, and I should remember the catcher name. I'm looking at him. But they'll come to me later.
I remember a series. It was the Braves versus the Mets, and you remember the pitcher John Rocker.
Yes.
He was a trash talker.
Yeah.
Oh, he talked a lot of trash. They were going against the Mets. I think it was in the playoffs. And man, that was a series in my head that I just cannot forget. The Braves versus the Mets during that time. But man, growing up watching the Braves, that was everything I thought, man. I had the Braves. I thought they had the best logo. But another team that I ended up liking was simply off a movie. The Cleveland Indians. Do you remember the movie Major League? Had Wesley Snipes and all those guys. And I thought that was a good movie. When you saw the depiction of what the movie looks like to try to depict real life baseball, did you see any clarity in that, or did it seem too fictitious?
It's hard to make it real.
Yeah.
Because of the way baseball is played. It's, for me, maybe for some fans they could. I didn't enjoy it. You got me?
And I guess I asked because in that movie, you had an owner that was really trying to sabotage the team to get rid of the team. Mm-hmm. But the team rallied around each other to win it You know, and then you get that idea, like, how often does this happen when you see teams that have the potential, but they just don't seem to get all the things that they need to have the success?
I could believe that happened back then, but nobody's trying to do that now. It's way too valuable. You understand? They may not pay to win. Like in Pittsburgh, they're not going to pay a lot of salary. And Tampa don't pay a lot of salary. But Tampa is trying to win. But those franchises are way too valuable. They make money. Even the losing teams make more money because they capitalize on the TV deal.
Whoa, the TV deal.
You got me? So they ain't trying to sabotage them.
And when you look at, I guess at the same time, the draft, you know, Major League Baseball draft doesn't really get the excitement like you'll get from the NFL and the NBA draft. But when you look at the Major League draft, for you as a coach, is it exciting, especially when you get the opportunity to see kids forego college coming out of high school and getting opportunities to do so?
Well, you don't know who the kids are in baseball.
Yeah.
Because they're drafting a lot of people. College baseball is not like college football. It's not in basketball. You don't know who they are. In the high schooler, you certainly don't know who they are. So it's never going to garnish the same amount of excitement. The only thing is you got to be really involved in baseball. You can know who are drafting really good players. And in baseball, it's such a unique situation. You don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, in football and basketball, to some degree, you got an idea. And even they fail a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more failing in baseball. It's the kids that is in the 15th round, 16th, making it a lot of time. It's not always the number 1 or number 2 draft choice. It's them kids down the road that's making it. And so scouting department like the Dodgers and Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Yankees, they do a really good job of, and Houston have done very well with their international scouting because they're signing guys for $10,000 and they're a big time contributor in the big league. So it's telling me they're looking at a 16-year-old and being able to determine something. Now, a lot of it is predicated on luck, being extremely fortunate that that kid you sign is going to develop, you know?
Yeah. And then you start to talk about these salaries now that these Major League Baseball players are getting. Baseball really kind of set the tone where you start to see basketball and football on the pro level start to get these huge checks. But when you start to hear these guys in baseball make all of this money, it was like, you know, and I look at it even from our community, the African-American community. You know, we're centered a lot towards, as you could tell, in pro sports, football and basketball. But the money that's going into baseball, and we used to see these when I grew up, the youth leagues were packed out in terms of many teams, and you had fathers and guys in the community in which I played for one of my best friends, Ryan Geiger, growing up. His dad, Coach Geiger, got all of us together. We had a team. We were the junior deputies, and for years we did our thing, you know, made all-star games and did everything. But, you know, it was just having that, I guess, that chemistry and being able to play those leagues. And now I go back and I look at a lot of those fields. The grass is growing up because the leagues no longer exist because the community, when we talk about African Americans, does not seem to have that same interest in baseball, although there is a interest, obviously, in baseball when you see what the salaries are being set at today.
We didn't lose baseball in the black community over 4, 5, 10 years. It was longer than that. It started in the 70s.
Really?
And and we gradually started losing it until in the 2000s, they saw, okay, MLB said, let's try to find a way to get it back. So all of those years we lost, it's going to take us that many years to get it back. Parents are going to have to get smarter about, do you take a risk and let your son get injured severely in football and then his life is ruined? Or you try to play a game like baseball where the injuries are repairable if you get hurt. You know, you may tear up a rotator cuff or arm, you know, but those injuries, you can repair them easily. It doesn't affect a person's life. I'm seeing way too many head injuries in football.
Yeah.
Injuries that is going to affect someone's life. And there are some football players who don't want their sons playing football. They know the danger.
Mm-hmm.
So parents got to get smarter. I know baseball doesn't carry the same amount of excitement that football does. I passed by that field by the state capitol, Memorial Stadium. On Saturday, it's so many people.
Yeah, for the youth football league.
Yeah, so many people. And they're all dreaming. They're dreaming. They're dreaming that kids are going to be something that maybe not going to happen.
Yeah.
They don't know how many, the small amount of percentages of kids who are going to end up even going to college, let alone play pro ball.
Yeah.
And I feel so sad because when I was coaching and I hear mothers and dads say, my son want to play pro baseball and I want to drop and die. And some of your son is barely playing here. You know, it's just such a sad tragedy, the way people think.
That that expectation that it's so easy to get to that next level.
So, Perry, it's so difficult for people to understand. Listen, we all love our kids. You have a son, you love your son.
Mm-hmm. All right, my son plays soccer now.
Yeah.
I like the coordination, you know, being able to the eye to feet coordination and the agility.
More than anything else, boy, you got him away from in front of that game machine. You got me?
Yeah.
And when you can build agility, I tell all parents, soccer is as good as it gets. I say our kids need to run and move to build so they could have more, build up their endurance.
Yeah.
Their immune system is going to be better.
And kids got energy all day.
Yeah,
you
let
know,
them
instead
burn
of fussing at them, tell them to sit down, man, go run up and down that field.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I like about soccer. I mean, it provide that for them. So, you know, I just want parents to be smarter and be realistic. But I know I'm asking more than I can receive. They don't want to be realistic.
And, you know, unfortunately, I think it's what you said, that instant gratification, because today, now more than ever, we're able to get exposed and see so much more than back in the day where you didn't really get to see the inner workings and so many opportunities. But now it seems like it's so easy to obtain because it's so easy to watch. And, you know, I think it does become unrealistic. But what we got to do is be realistic. We got to take a break right quick and pay some bills. So we'll come back. He's Rodger Cador. I'm Perry White, and it's Chop It Up with Cador. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call No Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at No Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Rodger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Take your fun full throttle with a single touch. There are places to fly high, swing low, or make the old bell ring. Your targets are in sight. Better your game by playing ball of almost every variety. Need to catch your breath? There's a place for that too. Countless ways to play beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground. Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hey, Coach Rodger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief. Getting
All right, we're back chopping it up with Cador. He's Rodger Cador. I'm Perry White. Be sure to follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. You can look him up. He's Rodger Cador. Follow him all over the social media outlets, as well as go to YouTube where this is being streamed at now. And if you're not able to catch it live, you can always go back and watch and catch the show at a later date at Chopping It Up with Rodger Cador on YouTube. It's very easy to find. It's Chopping It Up with Rodger Cador. And guess what? It's free to subscribe. You don't got to do it like the Netflix and the Hulu and all that. Just hit that subscribe button. That way, every time we come on and do our live every Monday at 10 a.m., you'll be able to get an opportunity to get that notification to tune in to us and check us out, as I'm able to have our opportunity to have this amazing conversation each and every week with the legend himself, Rodger Cador. Coach, you know, we kind of went all over the place today. We talked about NIL. We talked about the instant gratification era that we live in. We talk about success for coaches, as well as how, you know, Major League Baseball doesn't seem to be sexy and attractive to us when we talk about trying to get, especially our community, the African-American community, into it. But more so than ever, what I want to ask you about is Deion Sanders, Coach Deion Sanders, primetime. He's over at Jackson Stadium, because we talk football and baseball. He was a guy that did both. He was a 2-sport pro athlete, and we talk about how hard it is just to do one, let alone to do two.
Well, you know, yeah, at the era he did it, Brian Jordan was playing too, Bo Jackson was playing too, so you could see that was a time when we had a chance. We had a chance to get that football player to play baseball who was a really great athlete. Mm-hmm. I think the football coaches stop a lot of it because they're saying, I want him out for spring training, spring football, you know what I'm saying? And that's what has hurt a lot. There were a lot of kids who were led to universities to believe they were going to be able to play both, and that never happened. But, take Deion. He was a special one. I remember him playing a football game on Sunday, and then on Sunday night played a baseball game.
That's got to be. How crazy of a person do you have to be able to go do that, man?
But he was prime.
Yeah.
He was different. And that's what makes him so unique as a coach, because he hadn't changed. What people get in now is what he used to be when he was really a young prime time. He gave his name, he called himself prime time because he played in the prime time. And I remember an old white scout was talking about, they asked him who was the best athlete for the baseball draft. He said, "That's a god. I can't say it.
You can say it.
No, I won't say it." He said that darn player at Florida State, he played defensive back. That Sanders kid, he's the best one. I ain't never seen nothing like him. And I hadn't seen Prime play baseball, but the guy said he's so unique. And he truly was unique. You know what I'm saying? And so he ended up getting to play both. I think he started out with the Yankees, and then he played with the Braves. Or he started with the Braves, played with the Yankees, something like that. Johnny Elway was a two-way player.
Yeah.
Baseball was the thing that we first played before football and basketball started taking over. You got me?
It was my first sport. Before I played anything, I played baseball.
And this is why we have some. When you look, a lot of the Hall of Famers are dying, but we had a lot of black Hall of Famers in baseball. They died out. We lost a lot of them this year and last year, a lot of them. So, and that's what happens. People get old and they die. So we got to enjoy them while they're here. I got a picture of a Hall of Famer, Frank Robinson, above you, and you got a picture of some of the greatest Negro League players with Buck O'Neal. I mean, them guys were Cool Papa Bell, Satchel Paige, just great players. Buck Leonard, on and on and on. So.
And talk about that, and we're going to probably do another show centered directly towards that, but how special the Negro League was back during this time, and just the greats that played in that league, and how so many just did not get the recognition that they well deserved.
Yeah, well, they really were they were the first to integrate America. People don't give them the credit for it.
Because a lot of people think because Jackie Robinson was able to go play in Major League Baseball, but that they thought that made him the best baseball player in terms of African American, but that was not true.
No, he was the one that was educated in the white system. All the other ones educated, or they didn't have college education, and they felt that Jackie was better suited for what they were trying to do. No, he was not. They even said it. He was not the best player. But you got to understand, the way the system was they had to get someone like him. He had been a leader in the Army. I don't know if he was a captain. He was in the Army. So he had been in really situation where he had to deal with the white. He had gone to UCLA. He grew up in Pasadena, California. So he had so much working for him that they were looking for at the time. So Branch Rickey and them, they knew what they were looking for wasn't necessarily the best, because they would have picked Josh Gibson or Satchel Paige or Buck Leonard or Cooper. There were a lot of other guys they could have picked. But they had to pick someone that they felt comfortable with, that could fit in. And he was smart enough when they called him in, and the Branch told him, you got to be able not to fight back for 2 years. Even if someone spit on you, can't fight back. Now it takes a hell of a man to do that. If someone spit on you or slap you, you couldn't fight back.
I don't know how much I could have handled that, Coach.
Well,
I'm
that's the
just being
problem.
real.
See, he was smart enough to say, I could do it. And obviously, when we say was smart enough and strong enough, he had to get the strength from somewhere. God gave him the strength and the insight to know that he had a whole nation of African Americans on his back, depending on him. He couldn't let him down.
What was that pressure you think like as well to have that?
Unbelievable, unbearing. People trying to hurt you. You had no friends. It had to be unbearable. But it wasn't something that black folks hadn't gone through before. Remember, he had a whole marital history of black people who had gone through more than he did.
Yep, that's correct.
What he went through was nothing compared to what the people before him went through. They had no rights. And so he made it. He was able to lean on that. I'm sure people who were older than him encouraging him and say, you could do it, big guy. We did it. You can too.
Who did you watch growing up? Who did you like?
Well, I watch because the Yankees were on Channel 9, CBS. I used to watch them a lot because they were owned by CBS. And so I watched them a lot. But I watched the Giants, and when I could catch the Braves in Pittsburgh, I love Roberto Clemente. Matter of fact, whenever I would go to Puerto Rico, I would make sure I go by where the stadium is named after him, and I go to the hometown in Carolina, Puerto Rico. I would go by the area that he was born in, and it's just, these people know how to preserve their history. They know how to celebrate it. And so I would make sure I go by there, and then people would always talk about who he was and the things that he died trying to help other people.
That pride, that sense of pride will
Yes.
take you a long way. And it's good to be around people who have that pride and show respect and love and appreciation for something that you yourself find near and dear to your heart. And so, to be able to watch somebody from that perspective and then go visit where he's from and see the love that is still there. I think a lot of times, even with our athletes, they don't quite get that same pride back from the community because a lot of people are a little bit upset that they made it and that they had to stay back. And it seems like they was okay that he made it because guess what? He made them all look good, although they was not with him and did not be able to get the luxury that he had. It's just that's somebody who's one of us, and we look forward to be able to support somebody that's one of us compared to these days, if one able to get out, everybody's kind of seem like they tugging and pulling. You don't want him to really get out because if he get out, well, he's going to leave you behind and you on the outside looking in. So you don't quite get that same pride and recognition.
Well, that was the same thing with Jackie. Fortunate for him, when he made it, all of the players were pulling for him because they knew they were never going to get a chance. And they had to have somebody make it. And they knew Jackie had a chance to make it. So that was the good thing about that support. That kind of support used to be there. But it went out the window the way you say people get jealous because someone make it. That's why it's difficult for some guys to go back home. They may get robbed. You got me going to some neighborhood rather than people celebrating the fact he may not make it out of there. And that's so sad that it would be like that. You got me? I don't understand it, but you know what? It was like this with me when I was trying to make it.
Really?
Yeah, it was. The people would tell my mother I was crazy because I was trying to make it out. They said, that boy yours is crazy. And it would hurt my mother, and I would say, Mom, I'm not crazy. I just want to do better. And when you're trying to be different, sometimes people don't like that.
No, they don't. I know even when I had the idea of when I was going to leave and go to college, and I was telling everybody where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, more so than you was like, congrats, man, we pulling. It's like, man, you're not going nowhere. You're not going to do that. Man, that ain't going to happen. And it was just like, well, if I listen to you guys, I'd be stuck right here with you for the rest of my life. I knew one thing for sure, Coach. That's not what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. There was a world out here for me to go see and people to meet just like yourself. And obviously I got away and I was able to meet people like yourself and others, which now they can watch me. You know what I'm saying?
They can see you.
They can see you and watch you, you know. And so that's the beauty of it, being able to not always listen to what people have to tell you to try to hold you back, but find your own motivation to get you out of there. But I also realized too that sometimes I had to let some people go in order to move forward. Because even if I was to move forward, it'll still be some things tugging me back that ultimately can hamper what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a certain segment of people who don't want you to. They didn't want to put the effort in and make the sacrifices and commitment to be what they could be. They just accept status quo, and they don't want no one else to be able to move forward. It took effort for you to do what you did.
Mm-hmm. Same way it did for you.
Yeah. It wasn't laid down easy where the road was paved. You had to walk on some gravel road, muddy road.
Yeah.
Got your shoes dirty. But you kept moving, and so I understand. I've been there, my man.
And I know you haven't, especially when you going to recruit young people from all type of situations, man. And when you show up, you see the situations, and I know that makes you want to say, I got to get you up out of here. I got to take you somewhere where your life can ultimately change.
Well, I don't know if I said it that way, but I just said there is a better place for you. If you work hard, you can get there. I wanted them to know that it was going to take work. That just because I'm there doesn't make it mean it's going to just happen. You got me? Mm-hmm. I wanted to let them know it still was work in the making that had to be done in order for them to be successful. See, when people have to overcome so much, it's not the same as somebody have to overcome just a little. There are some people don't have to overcome anything. Mm-hmm. They just go. But when you have to overcome a lot, it's a lot of failure involved.
It is. But it's also appreciation along the way.
Yeah, it is when you're able to accomplish something.
Yep.
Yeah, more appreciation. But, failure is the thing that most people can't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to tell young people there's more failure in life than success.
It is.
So don't worry about the failure because there's more. You're going to fail every day you get up. There's going to be a bunch of failure. But you don't even worry about them. You keep trying to search for the one where you could be success.
And I couldn't tell you to be success without it because I know I did a lot of failing, but the good thing about it, you learn from those failures. You dust yourself off. And I'm not a person where the moping, the relishing in the sorrow. I got to find a positive outlook. I got to find something to keep me going. Even when I look in the mirror, I got to find some motivation because at the end of the day, I can't look for that for somebody else. I got to look for it within me. And who's going to motivate you better than anybody but yourself? And if you sit around and you wait on somebody else to do it, you'll be waiting a while because everybody each day may not necessarily wake up to have that same excitement the same way that you would have.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, young man.
And so I know you being a coach, you had to motivate guys each and every day, even when they looked in the mirror and didn't see that motivation.
Well, not only that, I had to motivate my coaching staff. And there was no one there to motivate me.
Yeah.
See, and that's what people got to understand about a head coach. You got to motivate the players, motivate his staff, and then who is there to motivate him? And you got to understand that. There ain't going to be nobody there. You got to motivate yourself. Mm-hmm. You got me? So, and that's how you do it. It's a three-prong. The players, the coaches, and you. And you're motivating too. And no one there to motivate you but yourself.
So you got to look in the mirror and say, hey, we got to keep it pushing. That's what I do every day, man. I look in the mirror, I keep it pushing. And, And look where we at today. You and I sitting here across from each other. We seem to be two motivated brothers. I like that. Two motivated brothers from different generations, but nonetheless, being able to have the conversation, I always enjoy it. We coming down short on time for another episode today, but I've enjoyed it, Coach, as always. We'll be back next Monday, same time, 10 a.m. To 11 a.m. For everybody that's watching, be sure to go on YouTube and subscribe to Chopping It Up with Coach Rodger Cador. Chopping It Up with Rodger Cador. He's Rodger Cador. I'm Perry White. You can catch us every Monday at 10 a.m. on YouTube. Share, like. Be sure to tell people about it. We're growing something here, and we want you to be a part of it with us each and every week and let people know what it is that we're doing, because a lot of these conversations we're going to have, they're going to be real life conversations that you typically can't not get from a perspective, especially when you talk about Coach Rodger Cador, who's dealt with generations of young people's families and all type of situations. To be able to hear him speak on those situations and have, as I like to call, wisdom. And I love to sit down and listen to wisdom, because it's hard to get that these days. And to be able to have that and for you to be able to share that, I think it's, I call it once in a lifetime, because, you know, where would we be without wisdom? And so I'm thankful to be able to do this with you. And I want you guys to be able to do it with us too, each week as we continue to keep this going every Monday from 10 a.m. To 11 a.m. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Rodger Cador. You can follow me as well as Perry White. Coach?
Yeah, and the great King Solomon said, wisdom is more valuable than colors and gold. And that's, just remember, King Solomon was very wise because he accumulated a lot of wealth and did a lot of things. But he said wisdom was more valuable than colors and gold.
Well, we'll leave it with that. Wise words spoken by a wise man, all right? Hey, you guys check us out. Follow us. Go back, play it back, share. Let everybody know what we're doing here. I'm Perry White. He's Rodger Cador, and it's Chopping It Up with Coach Cador. All right? We out.